What's up, guys? It's Steve Melia on the 162 tour. We have officially left Charleston, South Carolina. We're headed towards Wilmington, North Carolina. If you're going to be in the Wilmington area tonight, I'd love to see you. Actually doing a Legal Shield presentation from 7 to 8, then headed downtown. Probably stop by the old comedy club, say hey to some folks, some friends, probably watch some basketball, meeting up with an old buddy. Danny V is in the house. And say hello, Mary Beth.
Hi.
You know, a lot of people have been talking or asking questions about the tour, and they're like, oh, you got Mary Beth to tag along. And she's not tagging along, she's making this happen. Like, she is a big part of this, promotion-wise, dealing with the charities, dealing with getting the word out there. It's not like, okay, I'm just going to go to all these games, which it is like that, because we do have to go to we get to go to all these games, but it's like, there's a lot to do. I mean, a lot to do. Logistics, and she's got, this time we got spreadsheets of hotel, airfare, tickets, how much everything costs, and it's pretty crazy. But then to put, that's one thing, but then to say, hey, we're going to raise anywhere from $162,000 to $1 million, that doesn't happen by accident. It's a lot of planning. For those of you that were curious, we are not using any of it, not even a penny for our own personal expenses. We're going to be paying for the tour ourselves. Good catch, Steve. Thank you very much. They should put me in center field, baby. Brett Gardner's got nothing on me. Anywho, actually Aaron Hicks is in center. Brett Gardner's left. Just seeing if you're paying attention. And the point of the story is, I just wanted to say Mary Beth's doing a great job. She's been working the entire drive. We got about a 4-hour drive today, and I really appreciate her, and she's making this trip fun already. Okay, point number 2. I'm going to provide a little bit of content today. What does that mean? It just means that I'm going to say some stuff that I think is valuable. And I learned this last week on a podcast that I did with Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield, that name sounds familiar. Oh yeah, he sold more books than any other human being on the planet. Pretty cool. Pretty cool that I would get to interview him. And part of the lesson that I'm going to give on this Facebook Live is the same lesson that I learned as a result of trying to book Jack Canfield, which I did successfully. And the lesson is this that I learned from Jack Canfield. In fact, I've seen him say it on several talks or podcasts that he's done, so you can tell it's something that he says a lot, is that you got to ask for what you want. Most people don't ask for what they want. Most people hope for what they want. They might even think about what they want, but you got to take it to the next step. And if things work out, like say I'm going to my old comedy club, Dead Crow Comedy tonight, and you know, you didn't get on that stage on the weekends if you didn't ask. Now, you had to be good, and you had to be funny, and you had to go to the open mics regularly, but you know, sometimes Timmy Sherrill came up and said, hey, tap you on the shoulder and say, you want to go up Friday, but most of the time you had to go up and say, hey, listen, I got some friends in town the next weekend, or hey, I've been thinking I got some new material, you got any Friday or Saturday spots open? You have to ask for what you want in life. Going straight here, yeah? Just talking to Mary Beth on the directions, even though we're pulling into Wilmington. I haven't been here in a while, and so you got to ask for what you want. And in fact, Jack Canfield says, ask, just like a child. You know, we got to hang out with a little guy. He's going to be 3 soon, Jordan White Wing. He's a friend, the son of some friends of mine, and we've been staying with them the last few days. And kids are funny. When they want something, right, they ask and telling no, rejection, it's not something really that we think about. But over time, I guess we get beat up by life and we stop asking for what we want. So he says you got to be an ask hole, A-S-K hole, all right? Just keep asking and asking. And you know, it doesn't mean you could be annoying. You know, it doesn't mean you want to turn people off, but there's a way to do it where you can be charming and have some charisma and just sort of figure out what you want. I'll give you a great example is, I don't know, even though it was always on my goals list to have, you know, Jack Canfield, the guys like him on my podcast, I never really thought about doing it in Oklahoma City. I don't know why. But then about 2 weeks ago, I don't know if Mary Beth said something or I said something, but it was like, are you going to interview Jack Canfield? And it was like, duh. Why wouldn't I? So it was only maybe like 10 days or 2 weeks left. So I wrote an email to the president of the company. I said, hey, I'm a big fan of Jack Canfield's. In fact, it was, you know, I had mentioned to the CEO and even bought Jeff Bell the book, Success Principles. And so in a sense, turned him on a little bit more to Jack, and we booked Jack. And I had even talked to Jack's people about booking Jack years before we did. So, I mean, this was something that I believe that I helped create on some level. Point number 1. And so in the email I said, hey, I'd really like to meet Jack Canfield, number 1. 3 things I'm looking for. Number 1, to meet Jack Canfield backstage. Number 2, we'd love to get him on the podcast. 15, 20 minutes would be great. We know how busy he is, but it would mean a lot to us. We'll be as flexible as you need us to be. I'll bring all my equipment. Number 2. Number 3, I'd love to introduce him from stage. And John wrote back to me, and I hope I'm not breaking any confidences here, but John said, can't make number 3 happen. We've already asked Tiffany Sullivan, and she's going to do a great job, and I love Tiffany, so great decision. Number 2, I can definitely make the, actually he said this one first to start on a positive. He said, we can make that, we meet backstage, whatever. Yeah, you can hang out with him. And then the third thing, the podcast, he's like, man, we'll see what we can do. But then I didn't hear back from him, and we were moving out of our house, and we were super busy, and it was closing out the end of the month a little bit, and I didn't want to, we're closing out getting Oklahoma, and I didn't want to bother the president of the company, busy guy, John Long we're talking about. If I lost you at any point in the conversation. You having fun over here? Hear my story? This is what it's like for Mary Beth. I just keep telling her long stories. That's how we're gonna make it. Stay to the right. I know where I am. We're in Wilmington. So anyway, John says we'll see what we can do. Well, I didn't hear from him, so I decided to take it a step further, and I went to Jack's people. And a young lady named Teresa who works for Jack. I said, Teresa, man, I don't know if you remember me. I'm the one that, tried to see if we could book Jack with Legal Shield a few years ago. And she said, I do. How's life? And I had bought a bunch of books, probably 50 or so for our top leaders. So she remembered me. And I said, I really want to get Jack on my podcast. And she said, oh, I don't think it should be a problem. Let me see what I could do. A couple days go by, I don't hear from her. So now I haven't heard from both sides. Then I sort of get a response from both of them. It was like, well, it's really up to Jack's people. And they said, it's really up to Legal Shield. He's theirs for a few days, whatever. So, I just kept willing it forward. And then all of a sudden, I didn't think it was really going to happen, quite frankly. But all of a sudden, when I got to the convention in Oklahoma City, the president of the company pulls me aside before a big meeting, and he says, hey, Steve, that's how he talks because he's from Oklahoma. He said, hey, Steve, we're going to make this happen. We're going to squeeze him in between rehearsals and the book signing, right? And that was amazing. So not only did we do that, which was very cool, when we had Jack on our couch, and some of you saw the interview, it's on my Facebook if you haven't seen it, when it went 18 minutes. It was great. I thought it was great. And he said, hey, we only have a minute left because he had to go to this book signing. Would it be okay if you did a commercial for our 162 challenge? So now we got Jack Canfield holding up the 162 book. We haven't released this yet. And he said, I love to support great charities, and this certainly seems like one. And then he said, I don't know if these guys are crazy or whatever. And the funniest part, and should I tell everybody this part?
Sure.
So the funniest part is at the very end, he's like, my dear friends, and then he was like, Mary Beth, and your name was, and I just interviewed him for 20 minutes, and he didn't know my name, and he didn't hide it, so we're like, God. Mary Beth said, okay, Jack, take a deep breath, now say our names. It's Steve and Mary Beth, and you support us. And he did, and he was graceful and grateful about it. And then what else? We got him to say one more thing. What else did we get him to say?
Make pledge.
Oh yeah. We tried to close him, but he wasn't really into it. But what the point of the story, and Jack, if you're watching, I love you, buddy. And so does Mary Beth. And the point of the story is you got to be an askhole, A-S-K hole. Ask. What do you want? What do you want your life to be like? Do you whatever it is, whether you're in sales or whether you work for a charity like I do and raising money. So one of the things, I've said all that to say that I'm going to ask you, if you're still watching, I see the 12 of you that are watching, I'm going to be asking all season long for people to pledge. And so I'm recommending that if you're going to be watching my Facebook Live, just go ahead and pledge now, get it over with. This way, every time I talk about it, you'll feel better about the whole situation. And 50 cents will turn out to be, if anything was like last year, about $120 donation spread out over 6 months, about $20 a month. $1 per home run, which they'll hit about 30 to 40, maybe more home runs every month. So let's say they hit 38 home runs the first month, you would owe $38. Sounds good? $38. It's going to be split up exactly 4 ways, going to 4 different charities. You can check our 162.com website. But that's what it is. I know that to hit our goal of $162,000 to $1 million, which is our outrageous goal, that we are going to have to ask a lot of people. I made about 22 phone calls before, and not just saying to people, hey, will you pledge, but just reconnecting, saying, hey, I just want to let you know. One gentleman I was on the phone with, and he was like, man, it's great, good luck. And he wasn't necessarily trying to get off the phone, but he thought the phone call was over, and I was like, yeah, so the other thing we're doing is we're raising money for 4 incredible charities. And so, again, people know that I have a good heart. People know that I think they do. At least I do. Mary Beth,
Yes.
Thank you. She does too. And we're doing a good thing. We're gonna raise money. For those of you that know us, we're very ambitious. We will not take. Well, we will take no for an answer, but we will not be denied our ultimate goal. And so, if we ask enough people will say yes. Ratios will appear. And so, if you could do me a huge favor and just pass the word that we're 2 Yankee fans. We're going to all the games. We're doing something special. I only know 5 people that have ever went to 162 games in one season. I'm one of them. I don't know anybody that's done it twice, and I don't know anyone that's done more than 176. And I don't know anybody that's done it and brought their Labradoodle. Labradoodle. If you've never seen one, check them out. They're funny. They're fast. They love to play ball. We think it'll be funny if we bring Desi on and we put her 162 jersey on, and when the ball gets hit, she runs after it because she'll run after it if we let her. And then we'll put our website on there, and we'll get a lot of publicity. I might spend the night in jail, but we'll get a lot of publicity. Mary Beth's not so sure about that yet. And I know that a couple weeks ago we were asking for a place to live. Not too many of you reached out, but a couple of you did. Thanks anyway. But we got a place, and we're exactly a mile and a half from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Probably going to be a little bit of, I don't know, a rough area, as they say. We don't know because we're sight unseen. Hopefully we really did rent the place. We didn't get taken because there's a lot of scams out there these days. And that's about it. We're about a mile. We're a few miles from our first destination today in Wilmington. But we got to keep the pledges going, guys. We got to keep the pledges going. We're currently at $57 per home run. So let me just ask you this or tell you this. If you're gonna, am I going this way?
Yeah, sorry, 140.
You gotta be careful here. Oh geesh, oh geesh. Can't really see out of my car. It's packed. So what I was trying to say is we're at $57 per home run right now, but we really got to keep going. So if you were planning on pledging, you would do us all a big favor. The more pledges, the more people get excited about it. So if you're going to pledge $1 in a couple weeks, man, if you could just get it over with today, we're not going to charge you. You won't even see anything for what, 6-7 weeks now, beginning of May, for the first month. So even if the Yankees went crazy and hit 40 home runs, you're good. So if you can see it in your pocketbook, your bank account, your wallet, if you got to steal money out of your kid's piggy bank, if you got to what else? If you got to drive Uber a couple of hours, what the heck? Right?
Sell some Legal Shield plan.
Thank you. Sell a Legal Shield plan or a half a plan or an ID Shield. But just do whatever you can to support a great 4 causes. And you might be saying, boy, you are a real asshole. I am, and I'm going to keep asking. I'm going to get on here every day. But if you don't want to hear me, you don't have to tune in my Facebook Lives. I'm not telling you not to, but I'm just saying that would be one way to avoid me. And we're super excited. I'm just going to say this message, do a little commercial for our podcasts that are going to be coming out super soon. I use that word super a lot. Got the great Mike Melia coming out. He was one of our first ones. The CEO of Legal Shield, Jeff Bell. Give me your like or give me a love if you like any of these guests. Justin Peterson has been one of our guests already this year. Acapulco Cliff Diving Champion of 1980, Chip Humphrey was one. And then Internet Guru Sensation. If you were in Oklahoma, you saw him on stage. Matthew Root. Matt Root is one of our guests on our podcast. And then the great Ben Notini. Benjamin Notini. To you. Ben Notini is going to be a guest. And so we've got some great guests so far. But then Jack Canfield. You know, and I love all those other people. But Jack Canfield. Trump. And then coming soon, we also did the guys from Fill My Basket. Matt and Disty, Matt and Disty, 2 great guys. And so far, I think that's about 8 or 9 episodes that we've done, and we haven't released any of them. So when we release them, we'll probably release them all at the same time. You think?
Maybe not.
Okay, Mary Beth, if you're watching, she said maybe, maybe not. Okay? And she wasn't leaning one way or the other. You could not get a read on that maybe, maybe not. I did. Was she leaning towards maybe or maybe not? I'm not sure. What do you think? What do you want to say it again?
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe, maybe not. That would be the a title of a great book. It's about relaxing and not being stressed out. It's like, where do you stand? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, so we're just minutes from our destination, ladies and gentlemen. I see a lot of likes, a lot of love. I'm driving, so I can't read. But if you don't know, we're going to 162 games this year, and we're going to be doing podcasts from each city. And so, so there's two ways that you can help if you're still watching. I can see that there are a dozen or so still watching. That's my math. There's 9 watching. And are we getting off here? No. Okay. As you can tell, Mary Beth's supposed to be navigating, and she's not doing a very good job. I mean, she's doing a good job when I ask her, but she doesn't volunteer the information, which is really a big part of navigating.
A lot of other stuff going on.
According to Mary Beth,
here.
she has a lot of other stuff going on.
You lived here.
But the reason I'm going Facebook Live is we're trying to get pledges. Okay, we're trying to get pledges. Right now, we have 48 or 49 people that have pledged.
Please pledge, please pledge.
For a total of $57 a home run. We've raised just under $15,000 in 8 days. So you might be saying, you're talking about this a lot. Yeah, well, it's working. Okay, I'm either wearing on you, or you're hearing about it for the first time. But I'm asking and I'm asking and I'm asking. And if you see me calling, I'm going to bring it up in the conversation. It might not be the first thing I bring up. I might talk about other things, but I'm going to say, hey, have you considered pledging for our 162 home runs? And so,
if you've already pledged, give them a love. Give lots of love, and make sure you share with others.
If you've already pledged, give me a like or give me a love. Okay, apparently nobody's pledged yet.
Oh, great. All new audience.
Good, fantastic. I'll expect to see all 10 of you's names there. And I can see who's on the screen, so you're not hiding from me. But in all seriousness, I'm being dead serious, okay? We're trying to raise $1 million. And one of the things that's going to happen as a result of us raising $1 million is we're going to get to throw out a ceremonial first pitch today. And I was just on, I'm not going to say her name because she might have, she might not want me to, but she was married to a former Major League superstar, and she is going to possibly introduce me to a lot of former Major League players who I know all of them by name, and I'm not going to say them because I might give it up, but thank you, you know who you are. And but what I was saying is that 2 things that you can help us with. Number 1, besides pledging, that would be 3. Number 1, pledge. Number 2, do you know anybody that has a podcast? It seems like everybody has a podcast, but when I'm looking to be a guest, I can't find anybody with a podcast. So if you know anybody that has a little bit of an audience, more than me, for their podcast, then call us, and Mary Beth and I would love to come and tell our story. And if you think I'm a great interview, you should hear Mary Beth. She's got the language down, she's got the enthusiasm, she's like a cheerleader for our efforts here. That was her laughing. And that could be number 1. Number 2, if you know anybody that would make a great story, like for instance, we ran into these guys, Disty and Matt, last week, and they started this organization called Fill My Basket, where they go up usually on weekends. They randomly find people who they think they would like to help, and they pay the cash, or they just literally pay their grocery bill and leave. And so it's super cool. So listen, we're going to sign off. Everybody have a great day. It's the 162crew.com if you want to pledge. Thanks for your support in advance. God bless it.